Hello, it's been a while since I've done a video, especially at the workbench. Lots of things have been going off over the past couple of years, not just the obvious, mostly good things. And I have had projects on the go, and I've got some stuff coming up pretty soon. But for the time being, I've been sent this delay pedal by a chap called Jonathan. You may remember about a couple of years ago I did a video on one of these, resurrecting it from the dead. And this one that I've been sent has a symptom of no delay effect. It only passes the dry signal. So I offered to have a look at this for Jonathan, and a couple of things I've noticed right off the bat, just testing it with a little Casio here because it fits on the bench. The input socket is quite scratchy, sometimes makes the light cut in and out, and it doesn't work from either jack output. It will pass a clean signal but no delay at all, no matter what state the pedal's in. I've taken the battery cover off for the moment because it's quite tight actually to get that battery in, and I didn't want to force that back on because I'm going to be taking it apart, of course. So let's have a look at this and see if we can get anywhere with it. So unlike the first one that I had, this is all complete and screws are included which were all missing, and the back plate was missing on my old one, but on this one we'll open it up complete and see what we've got. So the important part that was missing from mine is the shielding, the metal plate at the back. All I think mine had was the plastic back, but this has got, of course, the whole thing. And there's a little grounding spring just there that pokes through a hole in the plastic and contacts the grounding plate at the back for shielding against noise. So let's see, now that we've got those off, let's see what we've got. Yeah, so much the same as mine was. I don't think this has ever been opened because all the screws clicked when I opened them, and there was a little bit of plastic dust coming out of the screw holes. So there's a little bit of dust inside, so yeah, I'm not sure this has been opened before. Now, interestingly, I'm noticing the main chip, which if I remember right was a Mitsubishi on my old model, has been scratched over. That's I wonder what that's about. And actually the RAM chip below it as well, which is almost legible. I think that might have been a Samsung RAM part, but both of those, the identification stamps have both been either scratched or painted over. Very strange. Just looking over a couple of the solder joints on the back of the board, I don't see any that are dry, but I do see a couple that just aren't very well soldered. One around there, there's just a tiny bit of solder touching the edge of the pin, but it's not all the way around the pad. There's a couple of others somewhere as well. I think I'm just going to go over this and touch up just a couple of those joints first and foremost. Also looking at the control board on the back, the little separate board, I think this is slightly different to mine. I don't remember mine having accessible adjustment pots from the back side, and the joints around the switch, actually, that feels loose. So I wonder if we've got a similar problem. Yeah, actually looking at that, although it's a similar Alps switch, it may not be anchored the same, I'm not certain, but that is wobbling. That could be the issue. I think we need to pull the knobs off the front, pull this board out and have a look at that from both sides. Okay, so another observation. No wonder the battery's so difficult to cram in there. The wiring, the battery clip has obviously been replaced at some point, and it's just been taped onto the existing wiring, so I might actually clip that back and resolder it properly, because it will make the battery much easier to get inside. In fact, it looks like there's even a lump of solder inside the case there, so there's a telltale sign. Now looking at this switch, unfortunately I can't completely remove the plastic without removing this. I don't want to remove that at this point because I need to be able to test it. looking at the switch, there is definitely a cracked join on the little wing of the shielding there. That sort of frame that holds the switch in place. The solder joint is definitely cracked on that. So probably much like mine. I think what happened to mine is it had been stood on. So it had been pushed in with so much force that it had completely cracked all the tracks on the circuit board. This one probably not so severe, but there is definitely a crack in there. You can actually see it wiggling around, so it's not properly supported for a start. I think I'm going to resolder every join on this switch and then meter it out and just check that that switch is working properly, because this was a temperamental issue with mine. Even after I fixed it, to be honest, the switch was, I think, slightly damaged, so it never quite worked reliably. But this switch looks to be in better shape. The bolt doesn't really feel loose on the front, but I'm going to resolder all of this and see if it helps. Okay, switch resoldered, and that sounds like delay to me. I think it sounds even better than my old one did. That's on the, I think, the longest setting. Yeah, so let's go to the middle. Yeah, and shortest setting. So that's feedback, and that's a fine time, that's feedback, and I think that's delay level, if I remember right. So if I put that right up, it should self-oscillate. Yeah, it's working. So that seems to be a really common thing on effects pedals. Things like the pots being stood on or knocked. I've had a couple that I've repaired. I've been doing a lot of effects pedals actually recently. I found it's common to find, especially on delay pedals, things where switches or pots that control a timing signal, if they start to wear out or if they're broken or just disconnected completely, they can either act quite erratically or just not work at all. I suppose because it's making no timing signal connection into the main CPU, so the main CPU is sitting there just waiting for some kind of input and it doesn't have it. Another really common thing is buttons, the switches at the bottom. Now this one doesn't use a clicky button like a lot of the modern true bypass pedals use. It's electronic, so there's a couple of gate and flip-flop chips at the bottom here, and I think it uses one of the gates and one of the flip-flop channels to operate the switch, but it's just a silent sort of spring switch, a momentary switch. It's not a clicky mechanical tactile switch. It looks like it's sealed as well, so there's probably advantages to that, but it's very common on the modern ones with the big silver clicky switch. If it doesn't click, quite often they can break internally if people get a bit over enthusiastic with them when they step on them. But luckily this one we can tell straight away because it's electronic. The LED is working fine. This one's okay. So yeah, I'm going to spray out the switches. I've given a quick shot of deoxit, but I'm going to clean this out a little bit more, just give the pots a little spray, clean this up, sort out this battery connector, and bop it back together and then test it again. And just to show there, the resoldered connections, I've soldered them a little bit further up the legs of the switch this time, because they were kind of just sitting in the bottom, which is probably why they broke so easily. And both sides of the switch have been resoldered, so that's now completely solid, hopefully not going anywhere. While we're at it, I'm going to do this battery connector. Two things to watch when reassembling these. One is that you don't get the wire for the battery clip caught where the sockets go, because there's actually kind of cut out where they fit flush. There's a little gap in the case where you have to snap the wire into. The other thing is a little spring on the back. You have to make sure, if you've got something to poke it with, that the actual spring does poke through enough and that it comes through enough that it makes a good contact with the screening plate that fits on the back. Much better. That fits properly now. All done. So apart from delay pedals, there's a few more projects that are coming up that I want to do a video about. There's things I've been doing for the past couple of years, but it just hasn't been feasible really to make videos for a long time. But I've been working on a couple of big projects that I'm designing circuit boards for. And one of them is for a Suzuki Omnichord, doing something with one that I've not seen anyone else do before. So when that is ready to show, when I've got my first prototypes built, I'll be showing that, so stay tuned for that. But as for now, thanks for watching. Catch you soon.